course, yes, there are stories making the rounds, and the one that is really trending, that is making people to worry, is about the abduction of students, of teachers, killing, maiming of these teachers in Oluyole local government area of Ogbomoso in Oyo State, and which is worrying the government. And well, there have been reactions to this. The federal government has come in. The Inspector General of Police have waded in. The Defense Headquarters have waded in. The Oyo State government have said no to terror. The state government will not bow to terror. And all other organizations, security organizations, they have waded in. The Amotekun, the NSCDC, the local vigilantes, Amotekun, and all others. Everybody is worried. Parents, people in Ogbomoso and around Ogbomoso, they have protested. And well, people are really worried about this situation now. And the one that worries me most is about those small kids, the primary school kids that have been there in the jungle. This is about, it is going to be about a week now. And well, the security operatives are trying. The state government is trying. The federal government is trying. And well, so many information is being dished out. Now we are now seeing that search for abducted pupils in Oyo is intensifying. We'll go to that detail later. The Inspector General of Police has deployed more detectives in the community. Well, detectives, they will mingle with the people to actually know what is happening, maybe to know. Well, detectives, they know their jobs. The police is trying. The army, they are trying. And other security apparatuses, they are trying, and they will. Traditional rulers in Ogbomoso land has demanded a military base. Well, that one I don't know, military base, because there have been so many states that all these have been happening in the past, and nobody has been asking for a military base. It is the job of the police. Yes, and that is where the issue of community policing and state policing comes in. Now, 6 suspects we had are in police net. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has demanded rescue of victims, and the NLC PFN has condemned attacks. And I understand that the PFN will go on, I think, a march, I think on Sunday or so. And well, what is now worrying me now is that the Defense Headquarters is saying no terrorist base in Southwest. So how come these people operated? Did they just travel down from Niger or Chad or from the north? And they are now saying DHQ is saying no terrorist base in the Southwest. Tola, can you imagine this? Although we are here to go into the crux of the story now. No terrorist base in the Southwest.
Well, people, the answer is that well, they could have accomplices in the Southwest. Yes, there might not be any terrorist base in the Southwest, but of course, they wouldn't just come into your enclave and with foreknowledge of your terrain, knowing where to go and where not to go. And knowing which targets are soft and which targets they would easily get away with when they attack. The problem is that they have accomplices even amongst us here in Southwest Nigeria, even in those areas where they have struck.
Yes, but I believe they still have some, maybe temporal basis. Like the IGP now, he has deployed more detectives into communities. Yes, communities.
Well, if you are talking about hideouts, that could be quite different from having a more elaborate camp, the terrorist camp, fully established terrorist camp. And in that case, we would know where they are. The authorities would know where they are, just like it happens in northern Nigeria, where these bases are not in hiding. And of course, for one, the security agencies, the government keeps giving one excuse or the other as to why they cannot attack those terrorist bases. Those places where the Americans, in collaboration with Nigerian forces, where they struck in recent times, of course, we knew all along that those places were. They keep giving us of excuses to the extent that somebody even said that the forest is too thick and that bombs cannot penetrate.
Yes.
Those are the kind of excuses you get from our government until somebody prods them from outside.
And the terrain cannot be, and the terrain is difficult.
Nigeria is too vast to be policed, and that we cannot be everywhere at the same time. Those are the familiar excuses that they give until the Americans now bring a prodding stick to prod them that you have to do something about this, and then you see some action. So
I think we should go into some details of that.
They said they are intentionally search for the abducted peoples, and the traditional rulers are asking for a military base. Well, in places where this, again, I'm sorry to be sounding pessimistic this morning. In places where these military bases have been established, the people in the surrounding communities, they tell us that the soldiers are more of a nuisance to them when they come, that they keep on harassing the civilian population, and they do very little to curtail. When an attack is coming, and the soldiers are stationed in a particular place for the purpose of preventing an attack, we often hear these stories, and others will come from somewhere where no one knows, and the soldiers will be withdrawn like hours to the attack. So a lot of complicity is actually going on, and compromise. Now, the story here says the military high command on Tuesday dismissed claims suggesting that terrorist groups have established a permanent operational base in the southwest region following the recent abduction of pupils and teachers in Oluyole local government area of Oyo State. This is just as the defense headquarters added that it is intensifying search for the abducted victims. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Oluyole, described the attack on Baptist Nursery and Primary School Yaota Community Grammar School, Ahuru, CLA, and LA Primary School as callous and reprehensible. He said in a statement in Abuja that troops are currently conducting active operations within the forest in pursuit of the perpetrators and to rescue the abducted victims. The defense headquarters said troops made contact with the criminals 2 days ago and have since reorganized to sustain the ongoing pursuit operations. That's what I wanted to say, Bimbo. I thought we already knew their location, and that the difficulty, the major challenge here is the safety of the children and their teachers, in the event that the security forces decide to storm that hideout. But from what I'm seeing here, it appears as if they have moved from that place, and maybe the search has commenced again to have their location. But then the Oyo State Governor, Governor Shemakile, did say that he would be willing to enter into negotiations with them to know what exactly they want. And see the possibility of bringing out those children and their teachers on hot. So maybe the negotiations have started. We don't have to know the allocation for negotiations to hold. So maybe that has already started, and for security reasons, I guess they won't be disclosing the details of the negotiation. But whichever way, Bindo, if it has to be about negotiation and ransom paying, if that is the only way that we would have those children and their teachers come out on hot, it's unfortunate that this has happened. It shouldn't have happened in the first instance, but then it has happened, and the priority now is the safe return of the rest of the children and their teachers.
And that is what is worrying me. What is worrying me. I know you are not always an advocate of negotiation.
I'm not, but where these lives, these innocent lives,
So I think that although the Governor Shemakile had already said he will not bow to terrorism, he had said that before, but I think maybe at least for now
he must use the carrot and stick approach, at least for now, like you said.
And I believe they said information I did that the people had been cowed somewhere in one forest along that route.
There had been cornered quite all right, from the information we got. But then, they actually murdered a teacher. That was to make a statement to get the security forces to back off.
Yes.
So I guess in that moment of backing off, maybe they must have moved on from that location. We're just thinking aloud here. Maybe they must have moved on.
Yes,
and the police are also assuring us that there was no attempt to launch a major attack on Ogbomoso yesterday by bandits. There was panic yesterday.
Yes, people went and that rumor. They were picking their children, their kids. Some closed up shop, and they quickly went home. But later, I think it was the rumor was doused, and people went about their normal duties.
And was Sunday Chief Sunday Igboho has also been talking. He is urging the federal government and the Southwest governors to approve operation of security network to tackle criminalities. Well, himself, he has gone dark in recent times. I guess the lessons of that massive clampdown on his residents. And
yes.
Well, I guess he's still, but not as loud as he used to be. I guess he's still active.
But he has always been an advocate of chasing these people out of the
protection of the
Yoruba race. Yes, but that was what took him to is it prison?
Yeah, well, he was detained in another country.
Another country, yes.
He was trying to flee for his life. And and you remember Sunday, who never did attack anyone, who never did hurt anyone, just about him agitating for the protection of the Southwest region from criminals, especially those who are infiltrating from outside, and that was his only sin. Those who are the actual cutthroats and criminals are treated like kings in their own region. Mabelo Toji and the likes of him, they are still living large and they are not in hiding. But the government at that time found it very expedient to launch a raid on Sunday Igboho's house. And I always remember that poor cat. The security agencies thought was Mr. Igboho.
And they killed it.
They took the cat away, but we don't know what became of it. But I guess it must be late by now. They thought the poor pussy cat was Mr. Igboho himself.
Maybe he turned into that cat.
But he said to possess immense powers of sorcery. So they assumed the cat was Mr. Igboho. So unfortunately for them, we had already it was very far away from the scene of the raid.
Well, it will be recalled that scores of teachers and students of Baptist Nursery Primary School, Yawuta Community Grammar School, and Early Primary School, Eshele, in Oluyole local government area of the state were abducted during coordinated attacks on Friday around 9 a.m. And of course, Governor Seyi Makinde had earlier confirmed that 7 students were abducted from community secondary school, while 18 children and 7 teachers were kidnapped from First Baptist Primary and Nursery School, adding that 1 person was killed during the attack. Apart from the one that was beheaded 2 days ago.
All right, Bimbo, I see this next headline and I say, what a nerve. Talking about the ex-minister of power, Maman Saleh, we all assumed he was at large outside the country. Mr. Saleh was actually in the country and he was not in hiding. He had been arrested in Kaduna.
Yes.
EFCC arrest convicted ex-power minister Saleh Maman in Kaduna, and I wonder, despite still knowing that other lawyers in the country and other must have seen where the pendulum was going to swing, he did not show up in court. So it was assumed that he was deliberately trying to evade that final conviction. And by the end of the day, we saw that he had the effrontery not to show up in court and to still remain in Kaduna, where he comes from. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have arrested convicted former Minister of Power Saleh Maman, who was recently convicted and sentenced in absentia by Federal High Court Abuja for financial crimes. Now, the FCC chairman, Mr. Oluyole, told a news conference on Tuesday in Abuja that Maman was arrested somewhere in in Kaduna around 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Oluyole said that Mamman, who had since been on the run, was arrested along with 2 other persons who were harboring him. Okay, he was actually in hiding. Now, it was reported that a federal high court in Abuja had on May 13 sentenced Mamman to 75 years in prison in absentia for laundering 38.8 billion naira. He was convicted of 12 counts of money laundering and fraud amounting to 33.8 billion naira connected to the diversion of funds from the Mambila and Zungeru hydropower projects. Now, while commending operatives for the arrest, Oluyole described the development as a demonstration of the federal government's commitment to fighting corruption. So I guess at least to a certain percentage, that should have erased this must erase the doubts of some Nigerians, including some of our callers who are doubting if Mr. Mamman will actually be made to serve out his sentence. At least he has been arrested now.
Yes.
And well, we will not know what is going to happen after, but then the fact that he has been picked up and maybe the reason he wasn't yet out of the country is that maybe he was thinking that he could still negotiate something to give him a softer landing, you know. And well, I don't know, Bimbo. But then I guess we are getting somewhere. Even if at the end of the day he goes to jail for a little while and then is granted presidential pardon, as often happens in cases like this. But one day I guess we will get there. At least a conviction has been secured. His guilt has been established by the courts, and from all indications now he is going to serve out his time behind bars. Let's have this quick commercial break and we will be back.
Wake up, it's choco time. Donald Choco is here with a taste you love. Just open the door and enjoy the chocolatey ride. Donald Choco 3-in-1, ooh, taste it, love it. Donald Choco 3-in-1, ooh, I love it.
Introducing the new Dano Choco 3-in-1. It's tasty, creamy, and satisfying. Taste it, love it.
All across Nigeria, one truth prevails. Football is not just played on the pitch. Arguments fly, tensions shift like defenders on the pitch. And when the ball finally enters the net, that is the 12-player full attack mode. 11 players play on the pitch, but we, the fans, play from anywhere. With Betano, fans don't just watch the match, we influence the game. Register now and join the 12th player. Betano, not for persons under the age of 18. Bet responsibly.
Alright, we're back, and it's good to know you are still there, and it's still conversation on Oluyole 98.5 FM. Still regarding the Saleh Mamman case, it looks as if the troubles of the ex-minister are far from over. The FCC boss, Mr. Oluyole, has said that the commission would expand its investigation to cover additional properties allegedly linked to the convict, noting that fresh assets had already been discovered. He also said that the EFCC had learned its lesson over the convict case and henceforth would place surveillance on individuals, especially high-profile persons, for trial.
That is spreading the wings of the ego. And yes, now the EFCC has given details. Yes, the details of how Mamman attempted to avoid jail sentence. He said sometime in January 2025, the EFCC filed a charge against the ex-minister of power for allegedly converting over 33 billion naira that was set aside for Mambila and Zungeru power projects. About 14 to 15 months down the line, specifically on the 7th of this month, they secured the conviction on all 12 counts. And because the main defendant was not present then, the issue of sentencing was shifted, and on the 13th of this month, he was sentenced in absentia, and notwithstanding the conviction, Oluyole said the EFCC activated its intelligence and recovery operations to locate Mamman, which they eventually did.
Some politics here. Turakile PDP declares Jonathan sole presidential candidate, glancing screening waiver. not going to be screened and going to the screening process. And it looks like it begins to look like ex-president Jonathan is actually serious about throwing his hat in the ring.
Yes.
And we were screening. Web screening as ex-president absents self, but he wasn't there. So it looks like he's still dilly-dallying. Nobody's his final decision is holding that close to his chest.
Yes.
And the Tanunu Turaki-led Interim National Working Committee (NWC) of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) on Tuesday declared former President Goodluck Jonathan as its sole presidential candidate for the 2027 polls. Now, Jonathan was announced by the Presidential Screening Committee set up by the camp to screen aspirants for the primary elections. A member of the committee and former governor of Niger State, Muazu Babangida Aliyu, who spoke for the committee, said that Jonathan was also granted a waiver not to appear for screening because of his background as a former president. The committee is chaired by former Vice President Namadi Sambo. And that's several members, including Chief Olabode George, Chief Tom Ikimi, and the former military governor of Plateau State, Jonah Jang. Jang was the one who was granted presidential pardon after being convicted of corrupt practices.
Jonah Jang, I think it was his tenure that a state of emergency was imposed on a Plateau State. Then. So,
like I said, it looks like the ex-president is still dilly-dallying, still quite unsure. And with the condition, with the situation, the state of the PDP now, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to first of all test the waters. But invariably, we do not know which faction of the PDP is going to be on the ballot, or if they are going to be on the ballot at all. And time is running out.
Yes.
In the case of Oyo State Bimbo, we also have Ambassador Taufik Arakpaja, the Interim National Working Committee Secretary of the Turaki-led PDP. He is the governorship aspirant for Oyo State. He was also granted waiver as he did not appear for screening. And Aliyu attributed Arakpaja's absence to his trip to Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The other waiver is also for the former deputy governor and ambassador and the secretary of the party, Ambassador Taufik Arakpaja, who for many reasons has to be in Ibadan, Oyo State to ensure that everything has gone well. That's quoting Mr. Aliyu now. And then he said, so we also declared him as being given a waiver by the party he headed.
Well, so far for that. Now talking about the APC now, yes, the APC in Oyo State and nationally now. Ahead of Thursday's governorship primaries of the All Progressives Congress, resistance to consensus arrangements has intensified in at least 10 states as several aspirants rejected pressures to step down and insisted on testing their popularity at the polls. The growing pushback comes despite efforts by party leaders and governors in many states to streamline the primaries through endorsements, negotiations, and consensus agreements aimed at avoiding divisive contests ahead of the 2027 general elections. And investigations show that while incumbent governors in several APC-controlled states have successfully secured consensus backing for second-term tickets, succession battles in states such as Kwara, Gombe, Oyo, Adamawa, Bauchi, Plateau, Lagos, Nasarawa, Rivers, and Yobe remain fiercely contested. And the APC had fixed the cost of its governorship expression of interest form at 10 million naira and nomination form at 14 million naira, and findings indicated that the ruling party generated about 5.05 billion naira from the sale of forms to 101 governorship aspirants nationwide. Well, that is the situation now in those 10 states of the APC that are, that means that they are going to test their popularity, amongst the people.
All right.
Yes, I still have this now. Amici, former governor of Rivers State, is blowing hot here. He says I didn't buy form to be Atiku's running mate. Let me just read an excerpt here. I'm in the presidential race for the ticket. Former Rivers State Governor Chibuike Rutim Amici insisted yesterday. According to him, suggestions that he should step down for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar are uncalled for. Amici, Atiku, and businessman Ayatuddin Mohammed picked up nomination forms for the presidential ticket of the African Democratic Congress, and the race narrowed to the three of them following the withdrawal of other hopefuls, Peter Obi, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and others from the party. And Amici, former Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly and ex-Minister of Transportation, said in an interview, there is nothing like consensus for now. The party leaders have not had any meeting on that. Everybody is preparing for the primary election. Amici also firmly ruled out accepting a vice presidential slot under any arrangement within the opposition coalition. Please stop that. I did not buy a form to be vice president, he said.
So much for Mr. Rotimi Amici. The interesting thing, I listened to a video clip that went viral, and it was the Emir of Jalingo making a comment on Nigerian politicians, and he spoke on the peculiarity of the political party structure in Nigeria. He said they are very political. He said ideally a political party is supposed to be made up of people who have the same ideas, who have the same thoughts and the same ideology. But he said in Nigeria, a political party is made up of people whose sole interest is to hold political office and not really about any ideology, talk less the interest of the people whom they claim they want to represent. He said that is the trajectory of Nigeria. That came from the Emir of Jalingo. Let's have this quick commercial break. We'll be back.
Unstoppable you, fueling your vitality the whole day through. Embrace each challenge with renewed might. With Supermalt, your performance takes flight.
With 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, one Supermalt multivitamin after breakfast every day keeps you going.
Right, we're back at the still conversation on Oluyole 98.5 FM. But Bimbo, former military head of state General Yakubu Gowon at last decided to write his memoirs.
Yes, he said
his autobiography.
One of his points, he said he never wanted to be head of state.
And for a long time, he had repeatedly rebuffed overtures by many prominent book publishers to have him write his memoirs. He had and I do know that one of those that actually approached him to have the autobiography written was the indefatigable and the legendary book publisher Backout. And he repeatedly turned down the overtures from several publishers too. So, well, at last he has decided to write those memoirs, his autobiography, and it's titled. I'm trying to look for the title now. My Life of Duty and Allegiance. And it was a big event in Abuja yesterday. And coming from the elder statesman himself, is saying Nigeria must not fall, and is talking directly to President Bola Tinubu and other politicians, a host of eminent Nigerians, the president, IBB, who was represented by his daughter Aisha, ex-president Goodluck Jonathan. Others were at the autobiography launch. And remember, one thing about this man, well, despite his shortcomings as a human being, whatever shortcomings he may have had as a leader, one takeaway from that one thing I can take away from his life is that he's one of the very few Nigerian leaders who never stole while they are in office.
Yes.
The one did not steal from all the evidences, from all the facts before us. Bimbo, he is not, even as we speak, he is not a super rich Nigerian, as you are expected to be if you have occupied, especially if you have occupied that particular office, the #1 office. And this was something that was the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Azan Kuka, who was also an eminent guest there, lent testimony to. Now, in his review of the autobiography, Bishop Kuka was the one who did the review, and he described the former head of state as a man who endured betrayal, humiliation, political intrigues, and suffering without a bitterness. Now, according to Kuka, Gowon returned from office with virtually nothing, despite presiding over Africa's largest country during the oil boom era. Remember, Gowon was the one that said Nigeria's problem is not money, but how to spend it.
Yes.
Now, the cleric narrated how Gowon struggled financially in exile, survived on support from friends and diplomats, and relied heavily on the sacrifices of his wife, Victoria, while studying at Warwick University in the United Kingdom. Kuka said the book also revealed how Gowon lost properties, had his military benefits withdrawn, and faced political persecution after the 1975 coup. Now, I also remember, Bimbo, according to historical records, in the aftermath of the coup that removed him from office, it wasn't, I think it was somewhere in Africa attending an OAU summit or something like that, when news came that he had been removed. And I remember his wife was in a particular Western nation at the time, so the hotel bills had run out and there was nothing he could do to pay, and it was better nothing to pay the hotel bill. And when I remember when the Sergeant General Murtala Mohammed learned of this, he asked the Nigerian embassy to accommodate the woman in the time there. I don't know whether he asked the embassy to accommodate her or to pay up the bills until such a time that she would be able to leave the hotel where she was staying. I remember that very well. So they were that prudent with the nation's resources when they were the first family of Nigeria.
Yes.
So, and then look at the nation's landscape, Bimbo, especially the former capital, Lagos. Many of the projects, despite the fact that it was wartime, during his administration, many of the projects, landmark projects, are still there for us to point at.
Yes.
And that the enduring projects, legacy projects. So, well, give it to the man. Well, I think an elder statesman who is deserving, who deserves to be celebrated.
Yes.
Though I must say he also had his shortcomings while in power, but then he was also the one that made sure that we stayed as one country. He was one that presided over the unfortunate civil war it was on the federal side, and he declared no victor, no vanquished. He took us through an elaborate process of reconciliation after the war to make sure that we become one united country again.
And what I remember again about him is that when Nigeria was undergoing a particular period, a turmoil period, then I think it was during the 1993 elections, when things were hard for the people, when MK Abiola, former presidential aspirant of the SDP, who was believed to have won the elections, was I think was his elections were annulled, and things became bad in Nigeria. He floated one organization, the Nigeria Praise. Yes, Nigeria Praise, and it was ongoing in all states of the federation, and it was consistent. Everybody should pray for Nigeria, and he organized events in all the states of the federation. I remember that very well, and I really appreciated that step then. And
while we are paying this doing tributes to the elder statesman, like I said, he also has his shortcomings. Well, especially as a young officer before he became military head of state. Remember the July 1966 counter coup,
yes,
and the role he played, and the coup that also took the lives of some eminent military leaders at that time. And then remember he also had a role to play in the murder of the then military head of state, Aguiyi Ironsi.
Ironsi.
So, well, all that is history now, and maybe what happened at that time was kind of experience. And then remember the first coup that was in January 1966, and well, people from his own part of the country, well, northern Nigeria was more united at that time, like what we have now. The middle belt and all that, where General Gowon comes from, they also saw themselves as northerners at that time. So there was that sense of cohesion amongst them, and they felt aggrieved. Talking about the details of the first coup that happened in January 1966, that they felt that more of their people were killed, and it was a coup targeted at their region. So when Ironsi became military of the state, he made some promises to actually make sure that he addresses the grievances, and that he makes sure he heals the wounds. But then one of the reasons for the 1966 coup, July 1966 coup, was that Ironsi reneged on his promises, and much of the things he said he would do to placate the North, he did not do. So that was the reason for the July coup, and which also claimed the life of Ironsi himself. But like I said, all that is history now, and I think it's good deeds. If well, my opinion, if we are to weigh it on the scale, I think it's good deeds outweigh what he must have done bad.
Yes. Now, this one, before we go to the phone lines, IGP honors 17 officers killed in Yobe. I think that is talking about those killed in active service while trying to fight terrorism, kidnappings, and other forms of crime. 17 of them.
But I don't know, quickly before we open the phone lines, I don't know if this means trouble, Bimbo. NCAA issues Ebola alert, directs enhanced surveillance at airports.
That is another while.
Okay, maybe I want to believe we are taking proactive measures. I know that it's here already.
Yes. And now, yes, this one that always puzzles me. Tola, you know all these dispatch riders. You know how they drive on the streets. Even in cities, this one, it happened, an accident, it happened along the Lagos-Ibadan expressway. A dispatch rider has been feared dead after he was knocked down by a hit-and-run vehicle driving against traffic on the Magboro Bridge along the Ibadan-Lagos expressway. And the Punch Metro correspondent visited the scene of the accident on Wednesday. The accident occurred at about 5 p.m. when the unidentified driver collided with the rider and fled the scene immediately after the crash. Well, I think it was the driver that was driving against traffic. The dispatch rider was, moving on his right lane. But at the same time, they should be careful. They should call them to order, because even in cities, even inside in Ibadan here or your state, we see how they move, we see how they drive, we see how they ride their bikes, dispatch riding. Trying to take one item. We don't know what the items are even safe, and most times maybe maybe food also, and they'll be driving, zigzagging within vehicles.
Well, let's open the phone lines. 070-5555-1985, the number to call.
Yes, and the program is still Conversation on OLUYOLEFM 98.5 Ibadan.
Right, and also 080-5509-850. Islamic group petitions police DSS over alleged online hate campaign against Islam. And in case you wonder what this is all about, well, the group is protesting what some people have been posting online regarding the popular Nollywood actors Abdul Latif Adedimeji and Adebimpe Oyebade. The two, of course, the two are married, so we can call them the Adedimejis, and it is said that some people who are posting certain offensive material online regarding the arrival of the couple's triplets and the recent arrival of the triplets, and that they said these people are moved by the fact that they gave the triplets Muslim names. I don't know how that should be a problem to anyone.
Yes.
So this group is protesting now.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I wish you a very good day over there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, my brother from I took from Malaysia.
All right.
That emir of Jalingo was a very brilliant man. And that is the situation in the country. We have politicians, they have no ideology. Can you imagine this present president calling himself a progressive? This kind of policy we are having in Nigeria. And he is always fond of saying that did I see you when we were struggling against the beauty regime? When the government now, as we have it now, is even worst ever in the history of Nigeria. Now, as regards Gowon, I think comparatively economic policies, we can give him a kudos. But the point is that this so-called northern domination started from his time. Unfortunately, we still have this up to this point in time. We had this Hausa and this thing that they are the superior, ethnic groups in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barumi. As regard your final analysis and judgment of the Tinubu administration, well, we dare say that is your opinion. There are people who think that government is actually doing very well. So we could have diverse views and opinions regarding that.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
Good to have you, sir.
I'm also happy about the life of former president, former military president. Hello?
We are with you, Dr. Olabubu. Oh, he's gone. Please do well to call us back. Right, 070-5555-1985, 080-5500-9850.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a little early. According to Gowon, who said Nigeria was not fall. Yes, Nigeria was not fall. But say Nigeria was not fall, they must do that thing. Not injustice, not partial judgment, not any one threat. They need to injustice and partial judgment here and there. Nigeria must fall. That's the teacher matter. Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Another commercial timeout. We'll be back.
I am malaria, the king of malaria parasites. My mission is simple: to take over your body, to cause fever, chills, headache. But one thing stands in my way. Come on.
Effective relief from malaria. Comal on. Malaria gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult doctor.
Wake up, it's choco time. Dano Choco is here with a taste you love. Just open, pour, and enjoy the chocolatey bite. Dano Choco 3 in 1. Ooh, taste it, love it. Dano Choco 3 in 1. Ooh, I love it.
Introducing the new Dano Choco 3-in-1. It's tasty, creamy, and satisfying. Taste it, love it.
Conversation.
That is good to know you are still there and there's still conversation. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling them primary emotion.
Good to have you.
Very and it as well and what as well is the
Amen.
The one says that Nigeria is not for. What is not Nigeria not for? It's between me and you. We should love ourselves and loyal to ourselves and faithful to ourselves. Secondly, you see, Nigeria, money is not our problem, but they know how to use it in our problem. They know how to use it, but it is not the giving use it the way they're supposed to use it. Because look at what our security in Nigeria. That education, food, health, and etc. If they do not have to use it, the way they supposed to use it, I say this money. If they use it on that project Nigeria is okay. What is this for?
All right.
Thank you very much, Yamasura.
070 5555 1985. My people told Tinubu I plan to kill him. And that's coming from Vice President Kashim Shettima.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Mr. Solomon is talking from Nigeria. It's the way one we heard from Babadi and Mr. John. So, on the issue of what's happening in the country as far as security matter, you said it all about the DHQ information. I don't think now we need all those things. What we need is to how to get those people out. Then all these the army are there, the Jamaica are there, the DSS are there, the Jamaica are there, deployed. What we need is area surveillance. These people will know they are in trouble when they see something on here. In fact, if you have had, I've said it, if you have had this area surveillance, they said these people came around 8 or 9 in the morning. Area surveillance could have been around 11, 12. They know they are in trouble already. So if they see 3, 4, 5 helicopters moving, they do their involved. So that's just it. But technology, we seem to be depending on sheer strength just to move it. All those national parks have rivers there too, they have all these things there, so they cannot move people quickly like that. So that's that. Then on the issue of what we pray that by today or tomorrow they will be released. Then maybe some people are saying they should contact money. Maybe if that's the case, just for the sake of those who are there, contacting the money and deal with the terrorist later. Then on the issue of General Gowon, as we know, wasn't corrupt. If you go by the story of how he lived his life after he did left office and all that, he's not a corrupt man, he's a gentleman. In fact, people said he would gladly follow him to church and so was because they know the utensils and all that. And everybody that has been saying General Gowon has been a gentleman. But one thing I know, I've read about it, is that he's not competent enough, like many other Nigerian leaders who have ruled this country. And they don't think ahead. Not that they are not good people, not that they don't have the good intention and all that, but ability to know what to do at the right time. Plan for 20. Nobody has this Awolowo brain there, planning for 20, 15 years ahead. But thank God for his life, he has written a book, which people have been saying he should write. Yeah, Nejuku. Nejuku writes because I was involved, but he doesn't give the account of the world actually, just a very thing. But first he has written a book. All well and good. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, actually, I didn't want to bear it all. Many people have the opinion that General Gowon was a weak ruler, although he was able to achieve quite a lot of things, talking about social development and the economy and infrastructure during his administration.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I can be aware from you.
Good to have you, sir.
Good morning, sir. I believe that Yakubu Gowon, retired, tried all his best, but he was able to make what he made as a result of his working with those people who know the way, like Baba Obafemi, Awolowo. During the period of the Civil War, Awolowo was being prosecuted by the EFCC before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court sitting in Maitama, Abuja, offered the alleged diversion and misappropriation of Kogi state funds amounting to 80.2 billion naira during his tenure, and now emerged as the senator. Like I said, this has not just started in this country. We don't know where we are going. Let me remind you, even though he was still on trial then, Senator Yola Omisore, he was elected to the Senate, President of his constituency in 2003, and he won. Why is it? And the vagabonds are in power. The children are in problem. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, maybe we should just call it a day this morning, Tola.
And quickly on General Yakubu Gowon that last caller spoke about, and Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Today, many Igbos are still not happy, especially those who witnessed the Civil War. They are not happy with Baba Obafemi Awolowo because of the role he played in the victory secured against Biafra at the end of the war. That war against Biafra was won much more by starvation. The instrument of starvation yes. rather than the power of bullets and armored tanks, and it was Baba Awolowo's idea at that time.
That just cut their food supply, and
the federal troops were not doing very well on the war front at that time. But when that happened, so all that is history now, and we have to go. It's been an interesting time on conversation, and we'll be back same time tomorrow morning, God willing. My name is Tola Teriba,
and my name is Bimbo Akombi. Thank you very much for listening, and of course, to be here. Sports Tidbits is next.
Conversation.
Oluyole
Yes, good morning, sports fans. Wednesday morning right here from the live studios of Oluyole 98.5 FM, your champions are. And I'm your host, Toby Ajole, reporting for duty this morning. I was a special hello to Arsenal fans this morning. Voila. Over 2 decades of waiting to lift to the English Premiership, and that wait finally ended yesterday. Well, Arsenal won the Premier League without kicking a match ball yesterday, and I'm sure a whole lot of Arsenal fans, they are waiting, if possible, to come into the live studio this morning to express their thoughts regarding last night's result. That was at the Vitality, where AFC Bournemouth did Arsenal a whole lot of good. We will be discussing that on the program this morning. Also, we have various footballing stories regarding African football right now. The journey to AFCON 2027 is now known, as we saw the draws take place yesterday in Cairo, Egypt. Yesterday, regarding the Pamoja to the Nigeria's African Cup of Nations, we'll be giving you that bit of the story this morning. That and many more will be coming from your live studio right here on 98.5 FM, as we are live on Okyogo 96.3 FM and Agilete 92.1 FM. Of course, your breakfast sports show on radio is live on Facebook and on YouTube. Only 98.5 FM. It's the channel, and you could also call these 2 phone numbers, as I want to have your thoughts on radio this morning. You could try calling 070-5555-1985, 070-5555-1985. You could also call 080-5500-9850. Arsenal fans, how are you feeling this morning? I want to have your thoughts on the program. Yes, we are live on Radio Garden and Radio Boxing Line, where you can join us on the live stream. Always a pleasure to have you join us right here on Oluyole 98.5 FM. And without further ado, I will start with football stories, because I have a whole lot of football stories on the menu, as we'll be starting with women's football, where Nigeria's under 17 girls, the Flamingos, will be departing for Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire later this morning, as preparations enter the final stretch ahead of the FIFA under 17 Men's World Cup clash against Guinea. The team head coach Akim Busari is expected to leave Lagos aboard an Eskil Airlines flight with a stopover in Lomé, capital of Togo, before arriving in Abidjan as the first leg against Guinea, scheduled for Saturday 23rd of May, forms part of the second round qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA Under-17 World Cup, set to take place in Morocco later this year. And for close to a month, the Flamingos have remained in intensive camping, first in Nigeria's federal capital of Abuja, before moving to Ikenne, Ogun State, as the technical crew continue their tactical drills and fitness sessions. And the Flamingos have recorded emphatic victories after partaking in some cheer-friendly games against sides like Generation Next and Nazareth Queens, Solo Wonder Babes and Lakeside Queens Football Academy. Biafra under 15 team was also on the slaughter slab, which the Flamingos inflicted a whole lot of high-scoring score lines. And for Busari and his assistant, they have largely centered around movement of the ball, quick passing and quick transitions. And the trip to Cote d'Ivoire now forms the final phase of preparations as Nigeria seeks another appearance at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. For Nigeria's best performance came in the 2022 edition held in India, where Nigeria finished with the bronze medal. And we wish the team all the best. Well, still with women's football, but right now from the President Federal